The first time I set foot on the surface of Xylar 4, the air was sharp with ionized particles, and the sky glowed a toxic green that made the world feel alive, watching. My mission had been clear: establish contact with the Xylari, a civilization rumored to be technologically superior by centuries, perhaps millennia, and notoriously condescending toward any human who dared approach them. I wasn't naive. Earth's explorers had been laughed at before. Entire fleets had been obliterated with a flick of Xylarian drones. Yet, here I was, the sole human representative, armed with nothing but my standard-issue translation device, reinforced exosuit, and, most importantly, my stubborn optimism. When the Xylari first saw me, their reaction was exactly what I expected. A dozen elongated beings with iridescent exoskeletons circled me, their six-limbed forms shimmering under the sickly light. Their mouths, or what I assumed were mouths, twitched in what I interpreted as amusement. Human. A voice buzzed directly in my mind. Their communication wasn't vocal, it was telepathic, or, at least, that was what my device rendered it as. You have been sent to amuse us? I cleared my throat. No, I said. I am here to negotiate. Another ripple of laughter, musical and mocking, swept through the group. Negotiate, the lead Xylari said, tilting its head like a predator inspecting prey. A species so fragile, so laughable. How do you intend to negotiate with beings who can bend matter at will? I swallowed the lump forming in my throat. The stories were true. Xylari could manipulate their environment in ways humans could only dream of. They had transmuted metals into air, grown structures from living crystal, and apparently used energy as effortlessly as we breathed. Humans, by comparison, were ants to them. I have information that may interest you, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My mind raced for anything that might give me leverage, a fact or data point that could pierce their arrogance. About your energy network. There's a flaw. The laughter stopped abruptly. A ripple of unease, or was it curiosity, passed through them. A flaw, the lead Xylari said. A human sees a flaw in our perfection? Yes, I said. It's subtle, almost undetectable, but it exists. I can show you. They regarded me with sharp attention now, their amusement fading into something else. Skepticism, maybe, or hunger for the novelty of seeing a human attempt the impossible. I moved carefully to a nearby observation console, my exosuit adapting to the alien tech interface. Your primary energy conduits, I said, tapping on holographic projections, have a harmonic instability. If synchronized incorrectly, they could collapse entirely, triggering a cascading failure. I calculated the parameters using human mathematics and your standard energy algorithms. A chorus of clicks, hums, and mental projections filled my mind as they processed what I'd said. The lead Xylari's luminescent eyes narrowed. This cannot be. No human mind has the capacity to detect such oscillations. I shrugged. Perhaps you underestimated humans. I have studied your technology extensively. Another ripple of laughter, but this one was quieter, less confident. I could sense that my words had struck a nerve. Still, I knew skepticism alone wouldn't be enough to earn their respect. They had crushed species far more advanced than ours without blinking. Words would not impress them, only action. I can demonstrate, I said, but I will need your cooperation. They leaned in, fascinated despite themselves. The lead Xylari extended a limb, touching a console. Energy flowed from their body through the network, stabilizing circuits that even my mind strained to comprehend. Show us, it demanded. Prove that a human can predict what we cannot. I swallowed hard. My fingers danced over the controls, synchronizing frequencies in a pattern no Xylari had attempted because, supposedly, it was impossible. Every calculation, every adjustment had to be perfect. One mistake, and I'd be nothing but another human casualty. The conduits began to pulse erratically, just as I predicted. A small shimmer of instability ran along the primary energy lattice. The Xylari froze, their six-limbed form stiff with alarm. "Impossible," the lead said, its voice tight with disbelief. "It's not impossible," I said. "It's just human." I initiated the final sequence, diverting excess energy into a containment loop. The instability began to dissipate, stabilizing the lattice. The Xylari watched in stunned silence as the oscillation settled. I exhaled, sweat dripping behind my exosuit. For a long moment, none of them spoke. Then the lead Xylari tilted its head, eyes glowing brighter. "You corrected what we could not," it said. Its voice carried awe. A human succeeded. I felt the impossible happen in that instant, not just the technical success, but the shift in perception. The laughter was gone, replaced by something like respect. Maybe even admiration. "You must understand," I said cautiously, "humans thrive on challenge. Where others see limits, we see opportunities." A hum of approval pulsed through them. The Xylari were not used to being impressed, let alone by humans. Their society had survived eons believing that no other species could match their ingenuity. I had shattered that illusion, not with brute force, not with weapons, but with the simplest human tools: observation, calculation, and determination. "What is your name, human?" the lead Xylari asked. "Captain Elias Ward," I replied, "of the United Earth Space Exploration Corps." A ripple of acknowledgement spread through the assembly. They were beginning to see humans differently now, not as weak, laughable creatures, but as something unpredictable. Something capable. Over the next several cycles, I worked closely with the Xylari engineers, analyzing systems, offering insights, and demonstrating human ingenuity in ways they could scarcely imagine. Each success, each minor revelation, chipped away at their condescending worldview. I began to see them watching me with an intensity that bordered on respect, and something else, a quiet curiosity that no human had ever encountered in dealings with a Xylari. Then came the test of trust. A nearby Xylari colony had been experiencing energy anomalies, fluctuations that threatened their life support grids. They asked me to intervene. Alone. No exosuit, no backup. Just me, my wits, and my understanding of their technology. I accepted. Not because I wanted glory, but because it was human nature to act when action was needed. The journey to the colony was treacherous. Ion storms lashed the surface, and gravity fields shifted unpredictably. By the time I reached the site, the energy lattice was in chaos, humming with unstable frequencies that could annihilate the colony in moments. I knelt at the primary control node, hand steady, mind racing. The Xylari had given me partial access, enough to stabilize the lattice, but only if I acted precisely. I synchronized conduits, aligned frequencies, and bridged energy flows, relying on instinct as much as calculation. Then, a surge unlike any I had prepared for threatened to overload the system. I hesitated for a heartbeat, but humans thrive in hesitation when guided by resolve. I rerouted energy through a fail-safe loop I had improvised, something no Xylari had ever theorized possible. The surge passed harmlessly. The lattice stabilized. I rose slowly, chest heaving, sweat mingling with grime. The colony's leaders approached, and I could see it in their eyes. Disbelief, awe, respect. "A human," one whispered, "saved us all." News of the event spread rapidly through the Xylari networks. By the time I returned to the capital, I was no longer an amusing human curiosity. I was something else, a symbol of potential, of ingenuity that defied their assumptions. The laughter I had faced upon arrival had been replaced by reverent murmurs. The lead Xylary met me in the council chamber, its 6 limbs folded in a gesture I interpreted as formality. "Captain Ward," it said, eyes glowing with uncharacteristic warmth. "You have done what no Xylary could. You have succeeded where perfection failed. You have earned our respect." I nodded. "I only did what humans do best. We adapt. We persist. We imagine possibilities others dismiss as impossible." There was a long silence. Then, slowly, the Xylary extended a limb in a gesture I now understood as friendship, or perhaps acknowledgement of equality. "Then let it be known," it said, "that humans are not to be underestimated. They are worthy." For the first time in recorded Xylary history, a species outside their own had earned such a declaration. And for me, standing there, I realized the full weight of what had happened. Not only had I survived the impossible, I had rewritten the way an entire civilization viewed humanity. And that, I thought as I watched the green-hued sky of Xylar 4 shimmer, was a triumph far greater than any single human could have imagined. Because sometimes the impossible isn't about defying physics, bending energy, or mastering technology beyond our years. Sometimes the impossible is proving to others, especially those who laugh at you, that determination, courage, and human ingenuity can succeed where even perfection fails. The aliens had laughed at me, but in the end, the impossible had happened, and I had been the one to make it real. The lead Xylary stepped forward, its 6-limbed form towering over me, but there was no menace in its posture, only something almost reverent. Its glowing eyes studied me with an intensity that carried centuries of pride and superiority. "Captain Ward," it said, its voice calm, deliberate, "you have done what we deemed impossible. Not because the task was beyond our reach, but because we never imagined a human could persevere where perfection faltered." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of every alien gaze upon me. "I only did what humans do best," I replied, steady despite my racing heart. "We persist. We adapt. We find solutions others overlook. That's what makes us human." For the first time since I arrived on Xylar 4, I felt something entirely alien. Respect. Not polite acknowledgement, not cautious curiosity, but genuine admiration. The Xylary, a species that had laughed at me, that had assumed I was fragile and foolish, now recognized the truth. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were capable. Humans could achieve the impossible. The council chamber pulsed softly with their bioluminescent glow, and I realized that the laughter I had faced at the beginning of this mission was gone, replaced by a quiet, unanimous understanding. Humans were not to be underestimated. The lead Xylary extended a limb, not as a weapon, not as a tool, but as a gesture of connection. "Then let it be recorded," it said, voice carrying across the telepathic network of the Xylary, that the human species, fragile though it may appear, has proven itself worthy. That even in the shadow of perfection, determination and ingenuity can triumph. I nodded, my chest tight with pride and disbelief. "Then let it be known," I said, my voice echoing in the chamber, "that humans never back down. We adapt. We endure. We achieve the impossible because we refuse to believe otherwise." And in that moment, standing alone yet fully seen by an entire civilization, I understood what humans had always known, but the Xylary had to learn the hard way. The impossible is only impossible until someone dares to make it happen. The aliens had laughed at me, but the impossible had happened, and it was human hands that made it real.